The last thing that we find is that to be an embedded church, we have to understand the inherent beauty in the broken. There's this ancient form of art in Japanese culture that's called kintsugi. I should have a picture of it up here, but you can look it up on your phone. In Japanese families, an heirloom that's passed down from generation to generation is usually a teapot and a tea set that grandma, great-grandma, and grandpa, great-great-grandma and grandpa used in their life. And undoubtedly, these heirlooms that are passed down throughout the generations get dropped. They become broken. And a lot of times in our culture, we have such a throwaway culture, right? What happens at your house when you drop a dish and it breaks on the floor? You sweep it up and you throw it in the trash. But kintsugi is actually an art form that says we don't want to throw away, discard, or even disguise the brokenness, because the brokenness is actually the beauty of the story. And so what they do is they take the broken pieces of this pottery and they fill them with precious metal, platinum and gold, in order to accentuate the brokenness. So as that gets passed down, they can actually tell the story and say, that's where grandma so-and-so dropped it back in the day, and this is the story. See, they understand that there's an inherent beauty, that the beauty of our story is often in the cracks, in the divots, in the scars of our life. And let me leave you with this thought. You remember in Mark chapter 5? Jesus headed into the region of Gerasenes. And there was a man that was possessed by a legion of demons that came running to the feet of Jesus. It's a pretty cool story, right? Like, first of all, what we find is the fight between good and evil in our world isn't a fair fight. Hell threw itself at the feet of Jesus and begged him for mercy. Remember the Great Commission, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me, therefore go. May we never forget the authority that we have as the Church of Jesus Christ. And what we find is that Jesus cast out these demons, thousands of them, into a herd of pigs that then ran off the side of a cliff and into the sea that day. And the people that were charged, it was their job to look after and keep these pigs safe, were terrified. Why? Because their livelihood had just died. So they ran into town in order to bring the people of the town back to point at Jesus and say, it's his fault, not our fault. And what Mark tells us is that when the people of the town came back out, there was this man that the chains of their blacksmith could never contain. There was this man who used to keep them up at night, cutting and mutilating himself in their cemeteries. There was this man that they had warned their children to never get close to. This man that systems and prisons and rehabilitation programs could never fix. Sitting in his right mind at the feet of Jesus. And this man said, Jesus, take me with you. Take me with you. It's interesting. Jesus had invited other people. Remember the story of the rich young ruler? Jesus said, come follow me. Really, he was saying to the rich young ruler, come be my 13th disciple. Come join this tribe of men that I'm leading. So it wasn't unlike Jesus to make this type of invitation, but to this man, he said, no, I want you to go back home and tell the story of what God has done for you. You see, Jesus knew that there was going to be, this man's scars of self-mutilation would never go away. He would always bear the physical picture of a testimony that had taken place inside of his heart. And what we find is that Jesus showed up into an isolated shoreline to have an encounter with one demon-possessed man, and that man preached the gospel to 10 cities called the Decapolis. Because there's a beauty in the brokenness. And can't you picture, right, that guy maybe rolling up his sleeves in the Decapolis and saying, I'm that man you heard about. These are the scars. But I don't bear these scars with shame or with fear, because I met a man named Jesus. And from that day forward, everything has changed, because he took my scars and he filled them with precious metals. He filled them with his beauty. And today, I love the story of that blind man. Remember when Jesus healed him on the Sabbath? Everybody was mad, upset. They brought the man's parents in trial, and the parents were like, he's of age, don't ask us. Good parents, right? Threw their kid under the bus. And the blind man stood up between the religious leaders and everybody who was talking about doctrine and theology and what was right and what was pure and what was sacred. And the guy just gets up, and I love what he says, and you can almost picture him going, guys, I don't know what to tell you. This morning I was blind, and now I see. And I don't know what else to tell you about Jesus. It is that testimony that's going to change your city, not a building. Buildings are great tools that can work for us in becoming the embedded churches and communities that we have been called to be, but they are not the answer. We have the answer. And so no matter if you're leading a small church in a small community here, or if you're leading a mega church, which I know there's a lot of in this area, right? The gospel still works, even here, even now.